Anytime people are struggling with depression, one thing they hear over and over is that you gotta talk to people. You gotta open up. You gotta communicate. But here's the thing. Part of what makes depression so hard to talk about is the fact that a lot of people don't know how to talk about it. I mean, sometimes you do open up to people you trust and the things they say just don't help. Or sometimes even actively make it worse. I mean, sometimes you open up about your depression and they just say it's all in your head and you just need to think positive. If all you had to do was think positive, you wouldn't have depression. Depression isn't just an extreme form of sadness. In fact, really, it's more of an emptiness, a numbness, a complete lack of any desire or joy. It's soul-crushing. And sure, it might technically be all in our heads, but that doesn't mean it's not real. How we feel is real, and it has real consequences. And sometimes you'll try to open up to someone about what you're going through, and they'll say, I know how you feel. And they don't. They just don't. They have absolutely no idea what it's like to live with this black hole in your chest that just consumes all joy and all positive emotion and just leaves you this empty, withered husk of a person. So no, people don't always know how we feel. And is there anything more annoying than be told, it could be worse? Like, I know it could be worse. It feels like they're saying that how you feel isn't valid. But I want you to know that how you feel is valid. Just because something could be worse doesn't mean it's not bad right now. How you feel is valid regardless of how much worse it could be. Or they'll tell you that you should be grateful for the privileges you have in your life. And that barely even feels like support. It feels less like support and more like they're just saying that it's your fault for being depressed because you're ungrateful. I mean, how is that supposed to help? But I think possibly the most insulting thing is when people tell you to cheer up and smile more. Like, yeah, that was the problem. Not enough smiling. Fake smiling. You know what I think? I think when people tell you to just fake being happy, I don't think they actually think that'll help. I think they just want you to fake being happy so they don't have to deal with you. Or at least that's how it feels. I don't know about you guys, but when I feel down, chronically down, what I need is hope. But don't worry, your older brother is here, and I'm not gonna dismiss you, and I'm not just gonna tell you to cheer up. I'm here to actually support you, so listen up. How you feel is real, and it is devastating, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you for feeling this way. All this means is that you're struggling and you need help, and guess what? Everybody needs help sometimes. You're not any less of a person, you're not a weaker person just because you're struggling. You are not obligated to be as happy as everybody else when you're going through more emotional struggles than everybody else. So don't blame yourself for how you feel, because it's not your fault. Sometimes we're going through situations that are soul-crushing, and sometimes our brain just hates us and poisons us with these negative emotions that we have no control over. But no matter whether it's a bad situation or just a brain that doesn't work properly and refuses to give you any happiness, neither of those are your fault. You're not weak or less of a person or less valid. You understand me? When you're depressed, these negative emotions feel endless and inescapable. But I'm here to tell you that they will eventually pass. Even if you never become the happiest, most cheerful motherfucker you ever did see, the worst of it, this bottom of the barrel, withering feeling, does go away. Even if there's no immediate way to escape what you're feeling, it will eventually pass, and it'll get better. I'm not promising things will get great, but I am promising they are not this bad forever. One thing I've noticed about depression is that not all depression works the same. Because sometimes the depressive feelings are innate and unending and uncontrollable and not related to circumstance. They're just how your brain works. And in those cases, sometimes you just need a distraction. Whether it's going about your day listening to music, or listening to a podcast, or just doing anything and everything to take your mind off of these thoughts, and just never being alone with those negative thoughts, always trying to stimulate your mind with something to do, something else to think about. Because when your depression is purely psychological, there's no way to confront those demons, because the demon is just some wretched gremlin in your brain that likes to turn off your happiness. But no matter whether it's a bad situation or just a brain that doesn't work properly and refuses to give you any happiness, neither of those are your fault. You're not weak or less of a person or less valid, you understand me? But other times, the depression is because of something that you went through, bad past experiences, dread for the future. And in those cases, you do have to deal with it. You do have to talk about it. You do have to meditate on it. You do have to think about what's causing it so that you can tackle those things and deal with them so they don't poison you for the rest of your life. If there is some trauma that's poisoning your mind, you do have to confront that trauma at some point, otherwise it'll never go away. So really, one of the most important things you can do is to just identify what you're dealing with. Does this terrible feeling inside of you have a specific reason to be there, or is it innate? Is this something that you can tackle, or is this something that you just have to ignore? And only you can figure that out for yourself. And even though I can't figure that out for you, I am confident that you're strong enough to figure it out on your own. You are strong enough to take control of your emotions and figure out what's going on inside your own head. You may not be able to just think happy thoughts, but you can think of the source of your pain and identify it, because at least if you understand the why, you can take actions to fix it. And another thing you really gotta do is figure out what triggers those depressive episodes. Are you functioning just fine up until something triggers those bad memories or something triggers those bad thoughts? Because if you're fine up until you're triggered, then it helps to just at least identify what those are so you can do your best to avoid them. But sometimes there is no specific trigger, and it's just up to something as simple as the time of day. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you just lay in bed with absolutely no energy or motivation, and you just want to go back to bed, just curl up into a ball and fade away. And when you're depressed in the morning, it's common to think that all you need is some kind of motivation, right? That you need some spark to help lift you up out of the bed. But let me tell you, you can't live your life waiting on some sort of ethereal motivation, because it almost never comes. That morning depression is hard, and you just gotta grit your teeth, bear it, and force yourself to move anyway. Finding some sort of motivation feels like the solution, but there isn't always any motivation to be had. Sometimes you legitimately do just have to pick yourself up out of bed by force, whether you want to or not. Sometimes you gotta treat your body like this big old lead weight that you just have to push up off of your chest so that you can move. There's no easy answer, there's no easy solution, there's no secret, that's just grit. And the days where you can't muster up the grit to move that lead weight on your chest, it's not a moral failing, it just means there's too much weight for you to lift. But that doesn't mean you have the freedom to give up. You gotta keep pushing until your body moves. Now, sometimes the depression hits when you're going about your day, whether you're at work or school. You're just dead in the middle of all of it. The day feels like it lasts so long, it feels so endless. There's so much work you have to do, and you know that you're gonna have to do it all over again tomorrow. It feels like this unending hell cycle, and that you never get a break, you never get any relief. So I find that when I'm in that sense of midday dread, the best thing to do is to have something to look forward to. Any minor source of dopamine that you can think of. It doesn't matter what it is, be it a game or a favorite show or some food or just any minor reward that you can think to give yourself. Find some reward, keep it, and keep it at home. Leave something at home to look forward to motivate you, so you can just say, just a few more hours so I can go home and do the thing that I actually like. Sometimes you just need a tiny amount of a carrot on a stick to keep you walking forward. Look, man, day-to-day life is hard as hell. And you deserve to be rewarded for it. So reward yourself.